You pray again, and the words start to feel heavier each time. The same request, the same silence. Days pass, then weeks, and nothing changes. No clear answer, no sign, just quiet. And in that quiet, doubt begins to whisper, "Did God hear me? Did I say something wrong?" I've sat in that place where the silence feels louder than any response, and it slowly wears on your heart. But the Bible doesn't describe God as distant from those who seek Him. It says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." Jeremiah 29:13. That promise doesn't say when or how, but it does say He will be found, which means even when it feels like nothing is happening, something deeper may be unfolding. Silence can feel like rejection, but Scripture often reveals it differently. It becomes a space, not empty, but intentional. A place where God is not absent, but working in ways we cannot immediately see. Not every answer comes in words. Sometimes it comes in waiting. Number 1, God responds to those who truly seek Him. The silence you're experiencing does not mean your prayers are being ignored. The Bible consistently shows that God is attentive to those who genuinely seek Him, not perfectly, not loudly, but sincerely. There is a difference between simply speaking words and truly seeking God with your whole heart. And Scripture makes that distinction clear. Jeremiah 29:13 says, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." That kind of seeking is not casual, it is persistent. It is honest. It continues even when there is no immediate response. And the promise is not that you will instantly receive answers, but that you will find Him. Sometimes we expect God to respond in ways that are obvious, clear signs, direct answers, immediate changes. But God's response is not always something you can easily recognize at first. He may be drawing you closer to Him rather than simply giving you what you asked for. And that changes the entire purpose of the moment. I've noticed that when I kept seeking God even without answers, something shifted. Not outside, but inside. My focus moved from, "Why isn't this happening?" to, "God, where are you in this?" And in that shift, the silence didn't feel as empty anymore. It began to feel like a space where something real was forming. Hebrews 11:6 reminds us, He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. That reward is not always immediate resolution. Sometimes it is a deeper awareness of His presence, a stronger trust, a more grounded faith. God responds, but not always in the way we expect or at the moment we demand. And that's where understanding begins to grow. Because if God is responding in ways we don't immediately see, then the silence itself may not be inactivity at all. It may be the very place where His unseen work is already unfolding. Number 2, silence does not mean God is not working. What feels like stillness on the surface can often hide movement underneath. Just because you cannot see what God is doing does not mean He is doing nothing. The Bible is filled with moments where God was working long before His people realized it. Think of Joseph. Years passed between his suffering and the fulfillment of God's promise. There were long stretches where it seemed like nothing was happening. Betrayal, prison, waiting. But later, it became clear that God had been working through every unseen moment. As Joseph himself said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. God's work is not limited to what you can observe. In fact, much of what He does happens beyond your view, changing circumstances, aligning events, shaping outcomes, even working in the hearts of others. And often, He is also working within you, preparing you for what you're asking for. The silence can feel uncomfortable because we are used to immediate feedback. We want confirmation, direction, clarity, but God's way is often different. Isaiah 55:8 reminds us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." His process is not rushed, and it is not always visible. I've come to realize that waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening. It often means something important is happening quietly, something that cannot be rushed, something that requires time to unfold properly. And if God were to reveal everything at once, we might not be ready for it. So the silence you're in right now may not be empty at all. It may be full of unseen movement, quiet preparation, and careful timing. And once you begin to understand that God is working even when you cannot see it, the next question naturally follows. What is He doing within you during this silence? Number 3, God uses silence to deepen your faith. When answers come quickly, it's easy to believe. When everything is clear, faith feels natural. But when God is silent, when there is no visible response, that is where faith is truly formed. Not in certainty, but in trust. Not in seeing, but in believing. The Bible defines faith in a way that directly speaks to this moment. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Hebrews 11:1. Silence creates that exact condition. You don't see, you don't hear, and yet you are invited to trust anyway. This kind of faith is different. It is not built on feelings or outcomes. It is built on who God is. When you continue to pray, continue to seek, continue to believe, even when nothing seems to change, you are not wasting time. You are strengthening something deeper than circumstances can touch. Abraham lived in this kind of tension. God gave him a promise, but years passed without fulfillment. There were long seasons where nothing seemed to happen. And yet, Romans 4:20 says, "Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith." Notice that. His faith was strengthened not after the answer came, but during the waiting. I've felt how difficult that can be. Faith in silence feels heavier. It requires more intention, more honesty. You have to choose to trust, not because it's easy, but because you believe God is still who He says He is. And over time, that choice begins to shape you. Silence removes the comfort of constant reassurance, but it replaces it with something stronger, a faith that is not dependent on immediate results. A faith that stands even when nothing around you seems to confirm it. And as that faith deepens, something else begins to happen quietly within you. Your prayers start to change. Your desires become clearer. Because silence is not only strengthening your faith, it is also revealing your heart. Number 4, in silence, God refines your heart. When answers are delayed, your reasons for seeking God begin to surface. At first, you may come with a specific request, something you want changed, fixed, or understood. But as time passes and the answer doesn't come, a deeper question begins to rise. Am I seeking God for what He gives, or for who He is? Silence has a way of exposing that gently but honestly. Without immediate results, without quick solutions, your relationship with God is no longer centered on outcomes. It becomes more personal, more real. You begin to sit with Him, not just speak at Him. Psalm 27:4 reflects this shift beautifully. One thing I ask from the Lord, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. This is no longer about receiving something, it's about being with Him. And that kind of desire often grows strongest in seasons where external answers are absent. I've noticed that when I didn't get what I was asking for right away, my prayers slowly changed. They became less about give me and more about guide me. Less about why is this happening and more about what are you doing in me. That shift doesn't happen instantly. It forms over time through waiting. Silence strips away distractions. It removes the urgency of quick answers and replaces it with a slower, deeper process. And in that process, your heart begins to align more closely with God's will, not because you forced it, but because you stayed. James 4:8 says, "Come near to God, and He will come near to you." That nearness is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, and refining. It shapes your thoughts, your desires, your perspective. And as your heart becomes more aligned, you begin to understand something important. The delay you're experiencing may not be about denial, but about timing. Number 5, God's timing is different from yours. One of the hardest parts of silence is not just that God hasn't answered, it's that He hasn't answered yet, and that yet can feel long, confusing, even discouraging. Because in your mind, the answer feels urgent. It feels like it should have happened already. But God does not operate on the same timeline. The Bible makes this clear, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord." Isaiah 55:8. What feels delayed to you may actually be perfectly timed from God's perspective. He sees what you cannot, what's ahead, what needs to change, what must be prepared first. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." Not in your time, not in the time you planned, but in the right time. That means the answer you're waiting for is not just about what happens, but when it happens. And if it comes too early, it may not bring the good you expect. I've struggled with this, wanting clarity now, wanting resolution now. But looking back, there were things I once prayed for that, if given too soon, I wouldn't have been ready to handle. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was necessary. God's timing often includes preparation. He may be arranging circumstances, changing direction, or even reshaping your understanding before giving you the answer. And all of that takes time. Time that feels like silence to you, but is actually part of a larger plan. Waiting is not easy, but it is meaningful. Because when God finally moves, it is not random, it is intentional. And when you begin to trust His timing, even the silence starts to feel less like delay and more like direction. And as you continue to wait, something subtle begins to change, not just in when you expect God to speak, but in how you begin to recognize His voice. Number 6, silence teaches you to listen differently. When God doesn't answer in obvious ways, you start to notice something. You begin to listen more carefully, not just for loud answers, but for quiet guidance, not just for dramatic signs, but for subtle direction. The Bible shows that God does not always speak through overwhelming moments. In 1 Kings 19:12, Elijah experienced wind, earthquake, and fire, but God was not in those. Then came a gentle whisper. That is where God spoke. Silence trains your heart to recognize that whisper. Instead of expecting clear, immediate responses, you begin to pay attention to Scripture more deeply. Verses stand out in ways they didn't before. You read something and it feels like it was meant for you in that exact moment. That is not coincidence. It is often how God guides quietly. Psalm 119:10-5 says, "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." Notice, it doesn't say a floodlight showing the entire future. It says a lamp, just enough light for the next step. And often, that light becomes clearer when everything else is quiet. I've found that in silence, distractions lose their power. Without constant noise, your thoughts slow down, your awareness sharpens. You begin to notice small convictions, gentle nudges, things you might have ignored before, and over time, you realize that God has been guiding you, just not in the way you expected. This kind of listening requires patience. It requires stillness. But it also creates a deeper connection, one that is not dependent on dramatic moments, but on steady awareness. And as you learn to listen in new ways, you begin to understand that the silence you're in is not random. It is shaping you, preparing you for something you may not fully see yet. Conclusion. When God is silent, He is still leading. The silence you're experiencing may feel confusing, even painful at times, but it is not empty. It is not a sign that God has stepped away or stopped listening. It is a different kind of guidance, one that does not rely on immediate answers, but on steady trust. In this quiet, something is forming. Your faith is becoming stronger. Your heart is becoming more aligned. Your understanding of God is becoming deeper and more personal. Even without clear answers, you are not standing still. You are being led. This season may not look the way you expected, but it carries meaning. It is shaping you in ways that quick answers never could. And one day, you may look back and realize that what felt like silence was actually one of the clearest ways God was guiding you forward all along.